visual designer at West Carey Group LLC, a position that helps plan and execute the creative development of visual experiences that enhance customer experience. Tell me about yourself. Well, my name is Brian Marsh, and I went to school at Bradford University studying graphic design and got my bachelor's degree emphasizing in graphic design. Shortly after that, I got my current job, which is working at a screen printing company, helping to design products and print them, as well as marketing material, digital and print. And shortly after I started that job, I also started doing just freelance web design projects for clients or friends, just sometimes making websites from scratch and sometimes making websites on a content management site like WordPress. And that was just a really fun experience for me. I found that I really enjoy the mixture of creativity and the visual creativity, as well as just the analytical problem solving side of it. I think just the combo of that was a really fun experience for me, and seeing as I enjoyed that, just seemed like UI UX design was just natural progression of that. And it has been great learning about and putting into practice in a lot of different ways. I've really been enjoying it. What are your strengths? I would say one strength definitely would be just empathy and listening. And that's just really beneficial, especially in UX UI, just understanding users' needs. I'm an Enneagram 9, if you're familiar with the Enneagram at all, which indicates that I am able to appreciate different viewpoints and perspectives, which allows me to break free from my own bias or my own opinion and instead look towards other people, how they feel and what they're experiencing, what their problems are, and just helps me not to assume in order to make a product that users will actually find value in. And I'm an attentive listener as well, so that comes really handy in interviews or when you're even reading feedback. I'm just able to focus on what someone else is saying and just really love listening in conversations and being attentive to what they're telling me. So those two factors, I think, make it easy for me to make a product that is really valuable and really solves problems. I also believe that just I love making just visually appealing products or projects. And I think that benefits users in multiple ways. It naturally gives them delight to see something exciting and flashy and interesting. But less superficially, it also just increases usability. Studies have proven that a visually pleasing product is perceived as easier to use by people. So not only will it give them delight, but it also help them just be more patient with the product. And if they assume that it's easy to use, they would be more forgiving if an error pops up or if they get a little bit confused somewhere. It would also make them more loyal and likely to come back and use the product again. So I think it's a very important aspect of the product, and the visual side of it is something I really enjoy focusing on as well and have a lot of experience in. Question 3, what do you need to improve on? Well, sometimes it can take me maybe too long to get eyes on something that I'm working on. Sometimes I'd find that I'd be spending too long on a project just for a client to take it in entirely different direction, or a product concept to change after getting testing feedback or even interview feedback. And I find in those instances, I wish I had checked them over quicker as to save time. And I think some of that can carry over from my side gig. I've been an illustrator for Boomer Magazine for quite a while, just making caption contests for that. And it's a whole lot of fun. But in the back of my mind, when I'm illustrating, whenever I submit it to Boomer, I know that that's what the readers are going to see. So I want to make sure it looks good and it's ready to present. But also, I think it can be designer's pride as well, where it can be tempting for me to think in a way that think in the way that I've gone to school for this. I've studied a lot in school and after school. I've had a lot of experience designing, so naturally I already know what this thing should look like or how it should act. But obviously that's not always the case, and I've just gotten just really good at moving quickly and consulting others often, and reminding myself that when I have done that in the past, it's been really advantageous for the project. And so that's something that I used to struggle with, but have improved greatly. And question 4. Tell me about a project you worked on, and what did you do, what you did to make it a success? Well, there's a project I'm currently working on for my current employer. It's a e-commerce redesign project where we're basically redoing our old site. And when I say old, it is old. It looks like it was made in the 90s, and it's just as bad as it sounds. So the bar for success is pretty dang low, and my boss, just his goal is to make a new site that works, that people can buy our products from as quick as possible. But I've found myself in this situation actually fighting for the user. You hear the importance of that oftentimes, but this is the first time that I've really truly put it into practice, because my boss doesn't necessarily understand the value of UX and design thinking and understanding the user's needs, the user's preferences, and he doesn't always understand the importance of just the extra work that you can put into it, whether it be making personas or interviews or surveys or user flows, just the planning stage to ensure that the product is that much better when it's done. He just wants a site really quickly and that works. So it's been interesting for me to put into practice, like I said, just fighting for the user's perspective. And also just in this project and other projects, I try to ask myself pretty consistently, how can I make this really great? How can I make this even better than it is now? Especially this project, it would be very tempting to just finish it and be done with it, but keep on asking myself those two questions, and that with the research and understand the user and their pain points, this website project has shaped up to be just really a great project, and I think it'll be a great one that users will come back to and enjoy using. Question 5. Give me an example of a work situation that, in retrospect, you wish you'd handled differently. What happened? Well, in a printing job, we were printing a large run of signs for a company with a well-established brand, and it turned out one of the colors were just way off, and the client just wanted to return the signs. What happened I think, well, on my end of it, I just kind of caved into a little bit of pressure where the guy mixing the inks, we usually get at least two people to approve of an ink color they're when the printer is mixing a new ink. And I was the second guy to look at it, and whether it was an aggressive deadline, which is oftentimes the case, or maybe he was just really impatient and wanted to go to lunch, I'm not exactly sure, but I definitely felt pressure to approve it as soon as possible, and I think I caved in and approved something that just really wasn't ready to be on the signs. It was way off from what the client wanted. Um, so I learned from that experience to not cut corners or compromise quality at the expense of the client or the user. And especially after that incident, we got just really proficient at consulting clients if we had a question about something. And I found since then that the vast majority of the time, the clients are just really appreciative when we go out of our way to do that. Question 6, what are your salary expectations? I would say 60 to 65,000 a year. Seems like through my research about a sensible salary for a UX UI designer in Richmond. I've had a lot of great experiences and I feel like it would be a great asset to the team. I have skills in design thinking, visual design, as well as communication skills. I have a lot of knowledge in HTML, CSS, and like I mentioned earlier, have made websites from scratch. So I understand that's just a really valuable knowledge to have, especially when consulting with developers on the team. I also am proficient with all of the applications that were listed on the job listing, as well as obviously print media I've had plenty of experience with as well. So I think I would be a great asset. Question 7. Questions for us? Yeah, I have a few questions. How are decisions made at your company? Does everyone have input or feedback? Another question. If I'm the successful candidate, what kind of things should I be thinking about or preparing for to start strong in the role? Thank you for listening. I'm Brian Marsh.